some very troubling revelations that have come to light over the past few weeks. Today, I sent a letter to Attorney General Eric Schneiderman asking him to investigate the Albany County District Attorney for possible misconduct, including misuse of taxpayer dollars and abuses of the grand jury process. The Albany Times-Union, in a series of articles regarding Nexium, has raised serious concerns that the district attorney acted unethically and perhaps illegally. We know certain things thanks to the Times-Union. We know that Kristen Keefe, who is a top official with Nexium, was allowed to set up shop in the Albany County District Attorney's office. We know that Kristen, who's not a lawyer, was given the coveted position of intern. We know that she was allowed to create a case and eventually an indictment against a gentleman who identifies himself as a Nexium whistleblower. We know that Kristen worked directly under the Financial Crimes Bureau Chief, Chris Baines, in order to get this done. David Soares allowed his office to be infiltrated by an interested civilian witness who then manipulated the grand jury process for her own ends. The indictment that followed was so poorly constructed and so flimsy that before it was dismissed by a county court judge, he mocked the DA's indictment in his decision. That case was then ordered sealed by the court. Compounding the errors, David Soares then allowed the evidence, gathered using taxpayer dollars and with the power of the grand jury, to be given back to Nexium for them to use for their own purposes. Now remember, this is the same pattern of abuse that we've seen before. This is the same pattern of mismanagement we've seen with the Florida steroids case. Now once again, Albany County, David Soares and Christopher Baines, who was until a few weeks ago the head of the Financial Crimes Bureau, are being sued because of their missteps and cover-ups in front of the grand jury. And what reeks of that cover-up, Mr. Baines, who for years has been the head of financial crimes, has been demoted and is now a subordinate in a different bureau. Now the grand jury holds a very sacred place in our criminal justice system. Under statute, any testimony and evidence gathered and presented to a grand jury is confidential and cannot be disclosed to anyone except for the prosecutor, the judge, and eventually the defendant. That confidentiality has been breached by the DA's office. It constitutes a wide range of ethical, professional, procedural, and constitutional violations. Now, if these allegations are true, then the consequences are dire. We hold at the core of our criminal justice system a belief in fundamental fairness and due process. David Soares has demonstrated that he has neither the respect for the system nor the protections it guarantees. It is my hope that starting today, Mr. Soares will provide a full account of his role in both the scheme to prosecute an innocent man and his office's role in allowing confidential matters to be disclosed to outside sources. Now, David has yet to answer the tough questions about his record. It's time for him to do so. Anything short of full disclosure is another indicator that Mr. Soares has no interest in actually seeing that justice is done. We deserve answers. Now, I said at the beginning of my campaign that it would be about competence, integrity, and independence. This latest revelation clearly demonstrates that Mr. Soares lacks all of those qualities.